All right, everybody, I'm going to start this evening's session. For those that weren't present when the recording announcement started, this session is being recorded. We will be using this for training and for marketing purposes. The idea of this evening is to give you a preview of the vocational training program that the South African Medico-Legal Reports is now launching. For those that aren't aware, we've been running training programs now with, I must say, a very, very gratifying amount of success for the last 6 months or so. And as I mentioned a few minutes ago, there are I see 3 participants here who have been all the way through that process, from the intermediate to the advanced expert witness training that we provided late last year and now early this year. And that those 3 are Pam Pillay, who's such a wonderful example of a person with real academic dedication and discipline. Deli Gumbi, who always just adds so much and has been so supportive of these projects. And then Parashni Pillay as well, who's in energy and enthusiasm, even in the light, Parashni, of some technical challenges today, is always infectious. And I just want to say, just with regard to those 3 and the others from that group that I'm quite sure will join us on this training program, that group of participants was absolutely fantastic to work with. Oh, here we go. Here's Gitesh joining us as well from that group. Gitesh, lovely to see you joining us. I'm sure we're going to get more members from that group as we get this project up and running, participating, and to bring now your wisdom and your experience and your learning to this project of those who've now completed all the way up to the advanced level, I think is going to be very helpful as we go through the next stage of this journey of providing proper support for anybody, for expert witnesses, and for any professional that uses expert witnesses, i.e. legal representatives, advocates and attorneys, and mediators. So those are the 4, or let's say 3 categories of people that are typically involved in this training. So it's expert witnesses, legal representatives, and mediators. Just insofar as this training program is concerned, what we've done is we've taken the lessons that we've learned over the last 6 months, in fact, even over the last year, because we started presenting webinars initially and ad hoc training, and then we formalized that into an intermediate level training program where we had 32 participants. We then developed an advanced training program where we had 25 or 26 of those participants then joined us for the advanced training program. So very, very satisfying to see the high uptake at the next level as we proceeded to develop our training material. Nonhlanhla, welcome to you as well. Robin, lovely to see you here as well. Tabisa, welcome to you. So as we started developing, we then became more experienced and could really put in the time and the energy and the financial resources to expand and develop the program. And what we are now embarking on is a result of the efforts which we've, as the South African Medico-Legal Reports, have been putting in over the last 3 months to improve and increase the quality and standard of the training that we provide, and also the relevance of the training and the takeaways that you as participants will benefit from the training. And really there are 2 facets to that. And I'm just going to share screen to explain this to you. So those that arrive now, I won't be greeting you in person, but you're all welcome. And I just want to take you through the 2 facets. The one facet is what I would call the content aspect of the training, and the other facet is the more technical side. And the more technical side really translates into the multimedia approach which the South African Medico-Legal Reports adopts. We believe that one of the major challenges facing, any person, any professional, but in particular any professional dealing with expert evidence in South Africa, is that there's such a deluge of information now. We live in the information age. That information comes at us, and we need to develop a more sophisticated response as professionals to how we respond to that incoming information. And one of the core principles at the Medico-Legal Reports is that we utilize technology to as much as we can to assist in being able to overcome those information hurdles that are coming at us. And so we've spent a considerable amount of time and energy and resources in developing the South African Medico-Legal Reports website. For anybody that's been involved in developing a website, it's an enormous amount of work. It is a big investment of time, energy, and other resources, money. But I believe it's very much worthwhile, because the website is in fact the central focal point of all the efforts that all the projects that we will run and develop over particularly the course of this year. And I think next year there's some expansions in the pipeline that are very exciting. We are working behind the scenes with a number of organizations. Those negotiations are quite well advanced, particularly in respect of 2 organizations. And I think there will be at least those, well, I'm hopeful there'll be announcements in that regard within the next month or 2. And then there's also a further sort of step up that we want to take as the South African Medico-Legal Reports, probably around about the middle of the year if things go well. But for now, we're very excited to have the website up and running. We have been onboarding a number of people onto the website, in particular using the Learning Hub. And I'll just quickly open up the Learning Hub, which is really the focal point of this training. And it's important that participants are aware of the Learning Hub. You go onto the site. One thing that we've noticed is some people must get used to the fact that they must please be logged in when they want to access the Learning Hub. Otherwise, it's just going to give them a card that they need to pay when they was in fact paid. So please just make sure that they're logged in. And then you will see the different training programs. We're just wrapping up the Advanced Expert Witness training this week. And those advanced participants are in the process of completing their assessments for the advanced training program. And those assessments will then be completed by the end of this weekend. There are 1 or 2 that have been given extensions until Tuesday. And then once those assessments are complete, then the focus is going to turn. So in other words, as from next week, the focus is going to turn to the South African Medico-Legal Reports Expert Evidence Vocational Training Program. It's quite a mouthful. Let's call it the Vocational Training Program for tonight's purposes. And that is what we're going to be discussing tonight. So we're wrapping up the advanced training, and then we're going to starting back again with the essentials. And I'm going to take you in some detail through what we're going to be running as from next week. So this is a precursor to next week. We have not really done very much marketing around the program at this point, because we wanted to make sure that we have the technical side of the website up to scratch. We didn't want to start promoting this heavily, and we have run into some technical teething pains, and we've got several hundred participants or something to that effect. So we brought it in gradually, and I'm very grateful to the advanced training participants for helping us to get up and running with the website and the use of the training materials, etc., and little technical glitches here and there that we've attended to. So they've been very, very helpful in that regard. The other point, just before I get onto the program, I do want to show you that when you complete the training program, or in fact, even once you've registered and it's running, we are in the process at the same time now of compiling our directory of experts. And I just want to give you Pam Pillai's directory page. Now, what this will be is this will be a directory of experts. We're going to start with the advanced group, and we will release the advanced group next week. The directory of experts will go onto the website, and it will be available for anybody to access, so publicly available. It will also be disseminated via LinkedIn and via other social media channels to a very high number of law firms. And I think it's going to be wonderful marketing material for those people who participated in any of our training. And so as you come onto the expert evidence training program, which I'll discuss now in a few minutes, we'll go through it in a bit of detail. But the first point to note is when you come onto that training program, we will then load you as participating in the program. So you'll see an enrolled status, and you'll already go onto the directory. Once you've paid and once the program's up and running, we'll put you on the directory, and you'll be on that directory, and we will then see to it that that directory is then marketed to a very, very big number of law firms around the country. And I would like to say that, and I think I'm entitled to make this claim, that we are held in very good standing within the legal community. The standards which we maintain, we do really try to maintain very high standards, and the legal community recognizes that. I think it's also recognized by expert witnesses generally. I don't think it's a false claim for me to make that statement. We work very hard to maintain those standards, and that then will reflect on the participants in the training. So they benefit from the efforts that we put into to maintain strong relationships and standing with the legal community, with the mediation community, and with the expert witness community. If I just want to then take you through Pam Pilley's example page, as I said she's an exemplary participant. I must tell you that I've selected Pam, but there are a number of people who I could have selected from this particular group. It's an incredibly strong group of individuals. We did interviews with each of those individuals that wanted the interviews. I think we ended up doing something like 20 interviews. The interviews were absolutely staggering as to the level of participants. So you'll see Pam Pilley here, registered obstetrician and gynecologist. So it gives your names, it gives your profession, and then area of expertise. She said gynecology. Some people go into a lot more detail on their area of expertise. That's tailored to yourself. You can put, as long as it's accurate, you can put in there and describe as you wish within reason. Just keep it within a line or two. But that'll give you an area of expertise. And then there are contact numbers. The HPCSA MP number is there, as well as the SAMLR PR number. That's a PR number that we at the Medico-Legal Reports use for that particular individual to keep track of all of her training and her performance. And then we get accreditations is the next thing to look at. So these are Pam Pilley's accreditations. You'll see that we put the certificate up, which she achieved summa cum laude for the intermediate expert witness training. So that certificate is up just to demonstrate that really the highest level that she's achieved. She will now, I'm looking forward to marking her assessment. I know it's come in, and I will have a look at that this weekend. And we will see how she does and whether she maintains that standard of summa cum laude for the advanced expert witness training. But phenomenal performance, not only by Pam, but across the board on that group. Really was a strong group, but fantastic result there for Pam. And then you'll see her qualifications. These are all trained. This is training that she's done with the Medico-Legal Reports, and you'll see it just really is first class. It's absolutely stellar. And she has she's excelled. She's participated in a wide range of courses and training, and you'll see that she currently is enrolled in other training as well. We'll just refine this slightly because we need to also enroll her in the present program, and I will chat to Pam about that just to update her certificate, her directory page before it goes out. These directory pages, of course, are done in tandem with the individual involved. The information on that page belongs partly to us and partly to the individual. So it's all properly vetted and approved and agreed with the individual before it's publicly disseminated. So there we have an example of the directory page. And just to reiterate, so if on the training program, for those that have already enrolled in the training program, you will then come up as having on your directory page that you're enrolled in the training program. And as you complete each module, now this is now the essentials module, we will then vet that, and we will then upgrade your standing on the directory page to reflect that you've now successfully completed that module, and we will then give you the accompanying grade as well. So if you get it cum laude or summa cum laude, then that will reflect on that page. And it's really as a recognition for your academic and professional achievements. I just want to take you through, before I move away from this, it almost slipped my mind. I just want to show you the key to what this all means. And you'll see that so summa cum laude, which Pam achieved for the intermediate courses with the highest distinction, above 90% she achieved. Cum laude is with distinction above 80%. Full compliance, where you'll see full compliance requirements met in full, where no distinction is available. So sometimes we will, for instance, have a webinar where we just there's no assessment, there's no grading, but the person has attended the webinar, and so that's full compliance. And then enrolled is, for instance, what's going to happen now with the vocational training program is that individuals will be enrolled, but that module hasn't yet been completed. Then they will nonetheless have it reflected as they're enrolled. Once you're formally registered and you're participating in the program, you will then already get the credit of enrollment in that particular program. So even before you've completed your assessment. All right, so that was what I wanted to show you with regards the directory, which will come out, as I say, next week. Now, insofar as the 2026 Term 1 program is concerned, just to explain that the program itself is going to be made up of, sorry, let's get rid of that. The program will be made up of the different levels to the materials that we produce. We'll go through the overview, the program and the overview this evening. Then there's the level of free training, which is held on Tuesday evenings. It is very, very popular training that, particularly on certain subjects. We get very, very high interest. There's also a very high sort of afterwards watching that material. There's high interest. So then from the free, we move on to the essentials program, which is sort of tier 1. I'll explain what the different tiers are in a moment. But the point I want to make just for present is that, so there's the free training, which gives you certain information. Then on the formal vocational training program, you then move on to the essentials. Then there's intermediate, and then there's advanced. And each of those levels builds on the previous level, with the exception of the free training. In other words, the free training is ad hoc training. It's not structured, and it's only to a certain level. It's also not available afterwards in a sort of library form, unless you are a paid subscriber to the South African Medico-Legal Reports, and then it becomes available. But with the essentials, the intermediate, and the advanced, they form part of the expert evidence vocational training program. And just as I turn to the Term 1 program, let's have a look at this. And I'll explain the vocational training program to you in a moment. So here is the program for February, for Term 1 of 2026, February and March. And you'll see today we're on the 19th of February. I'm not going to go through those that we've already had. People can look at that in their own time. But you'll see that this evening now is the introduction overview of the vocational training program. And then on Monday, we are going to have the Expert Evidence Vocational Training Program, Module 1, which is the essentials. And you'll remember that when we looked at it, this is the essentials. So Module 1, this is now the paid training. And we're going to be releasing the content on the essentials program as of Monday evening. Okay. Now, the vocational training program consists of the essentials, the intermediate, and the advanced training. Those are 3 modules which make up the vocational training program. The next thing to explain is why a vocational training program. And this is really the essence of where we are at the South African Medico-Legal Reports. I, as an advocate, before I could appear in court, I had to undergo pupillage. And during the course of my pupillage, I was exposed to training at a very, very exacting level. It was intense training. It was partly theoretically based. In other words, we needed to know the rules of court. We needed to know all the relevant cases, and we had to know them very well. It's a very high standard of training. And pupillage, as anybody who's spoken to an advocate who's undergone pupillage, is a very demanding process. But coupled with that sort of theoretical training was also the practical component to that training. And that consisted for advocates of conducting mock trials, leading witnesses, cross-examining witnesses, drafting pleadings, drafting various papers that are required for court, etc. And in my day, I was lucky. Pupillage lasted about, I remember it being 4 months of actual training, but 6 months where the program lasted before you could start earning any income. And so it was 6 months without income to undergo the training program for advocates. It was, looking back, it was an absolutely fantastic grounding in my profession, and I have leaned on that training program over now. I did that training program, I can't even remember, it was 1997. So we're going on 30 years ago that I participated in that training program. I then also was involved in training pupil advocates for a number of years. I seem to remember for about 8 years or so that I trained pupil advocates, and eventually I was training trainers for the pupil advocates. So I really enjoyed the training, and I have seen how much it has contributed to the upholding and improvement of professional standards within South Africa. That training program. Now, what is striking is there is no similar program for expert evidence. So there is no similar training program for expert witnesses, nor is there any dedicated vocational training program for legal representatives and mediators. There are, of course, some well-known programs that one can participate in, training for expert witnesses. Those are very good programs. They give a very good theoretical basis, and there is a practical component. But this is specifically vocational training. There simply is nothing to compare to pupil training. What we intend doing with this training is focusing heavily on getting the bridge between the theory and the practice right. And so we will look with a heavy emphasis on the practicalities of expert evidence, both for expert witnesses and for those using expert witnesses, and going through step by step what it is that an expert witness needs to be equipped with in order to be able to perform professionally within court. In my view, there is an enormous gap in the knowledge of the professions, and really it's a systemic gap within the justice system itself, which is that the role of the expert is becoming enormously important in our courts. Experts appear on a daily basis. Anybody that's got any experience in these matters knows how important expert evidence is and expert witnesses are to the proper functioning of the courts and the proper running of trials these days. Yet, in my view, there is no professional support system. There are one or two well-known organizations that provide a measure of that, but nothing, but there's still a gap between as far as the practice is concerned. So you can get a certain theoretical knowledge, but the real problem is that practical training. And that is what the vocational training program seeks to address. And we will develop that program now over the next 2 or 3 months, or we will roll it out over the next 2 or 3 months. So let's just then have a look at, in more detail, at the program, at certain components of the training program. Just get that to disappear. Just bear with me while I call this up. Okay, so here we have, just to finish off on this is the overall South African Medico-Legal Reports content, and you'll see that we have our free tutorials, and then we also have our expert evidence training program. If I go back to this evening, so we've got this evening is the introduction and overview. Then on Monday, we've got the expert evidence vocational training program, module 1, essentials, which is what is starting then on Monday. Release of content. That content will be released on the Learning Hub. And if you go to the Learning Hub, just get my, oh, hang on, we've got a problem here. This is the server problem. But if you go to the Learning Hub, then that will show you the, let's just go here. On the Learning Hub, if you go to the South African Medico-Legal Reports Expert Evidence Vocational Training Program, this is where your content for this program will be housed. And so you go into that, and you will then find the content will be rolled out within that particular module. Okay, and so we have module 1, which is the essentials. We'll start releasing content as of Monday. I must tell you that when we start on Monday, what the material that will be included will be a full set of pleadings in an actual court case. It'll be redacted, but there will be a full set of pleadings, in other words, particulars of claim, a plea, and then the joint minute and various other documents taken from an actual court case which we will then use as part of our analysis process as we go through the program. There will be additional material made available, but that will immediately become available on Monday. And that will then serve as a very strong practical foundation for the work that we do. Then Tuesday, we've got a free tutorial on Twine versus Naidu. Participants in the vocational training program are encouraged to attend the free tutorials, or if you can't attend the live event of any of these events, then everything is available on demand. The other important point to make is please make sure that you are on the training WhatsApp group. That is where all our communications are centered on a daily basis. So the content will be housed on the website, but our form of communication is via that WhatsApp group. There's very important information that will be coming through on that WhatsApp group. And every time we post something on the website, we will then notify you via the WhatsApp group, so that will then give you an alert that there's an update. Particularly as we now start rolling out the material as from Monday, as we roll out the material and it's available on the Learning Hub, we will then notify you on the WhatsApp group. And you can then, for those that want to keep pace, can then go immediately and access that material. For those that want to then access it at their convenience, obviously that'll be available later. But the WhatsApp group will give you all sorts of important information. Then, insofar as so that's then on Tuesday is the free tutorial. Then next Thursday, i.e. the 5th of March, we'll have a longer session between 6 and 8. And that will be the Expert Evidence Vocational Training Program Module 2 Intermediate, General Legal Principles. So we're going, that's on the 5th of March, which will be the week after. I beg your pardon, I've suddenly slotted in next week for the intermediate. That won't be the case. We're going to be running the Essentials program now until effectively the beginning of March. And then as from the 5th of March, we'll go into the intermediate stage. And then we will have a 2-hour session on the 5th of March dealing with general legal principles governing expert evidence. There will be content coming out regularly, but there will be a Thursday recap of that content. And I think that's really a key takeaway. So if you are participating in the program, just sort of make a mental note that on Thursdays, there will be a recap of whatever has gone out during the previous week. And that'll be a very handy way to get into that information, and where the important points will then be summarized and dealt with on Thursday evenings. The Tuesday evenings, the content on the free tutorials will be relevant to the training program, but it's not necessary to watch the free tutorials if you want to do well in your assessments, because everything that's dealt with or that's required for your assessments on the program will be dealt with on those Thursday evenings and in the content on the Learning Hub. So you can think of the free tutorial as being supplementary to the program. In my view, the free tutorials are interesting because we try to take either very important cases or very topical cases. So the free tutorials are well worth keeping an eye on. We try to keep those tutorials, if we can, to around about 40 minutes. We don't like to go over an hour. It does depend on what the content is. We had a very challenging one about 2 weeks back, a very important case that we dealt with 2 weeks back to do with past medical expenses. Quite a technical tutorial, that one. So that one took almost an hour. But we try to really keep things a little simpler than that, if we can, and try to keep it down to around about half an hour, 40 minutes, or say 40 minutes. Half an hour is too short, around about 40 minutes. So that's your free training on the Tuesday evenings. And then going into March, you'll see that there are more free tutorials on Tuesdays, and the vocational training program will continue. Thursday evenings, we will then do the structured vocational training program. Just a point of clarification here is that this evening we have made this presentation open to registrants and just to people who are interested. That will not be the case going forward. The Thursday evenings will only be available to those that have paid for the training. And of course, the assessments in the accreditation, goes without saying, are only available to people who have paid for training, as well as the directory pages. The directory pages are not available to people who participate in the free training. In order to get a directory page, you must sign up for for the subscription training. And so then that will take us through till the end of March. That will be the end of term 1 for 2026. In other words, court term 1 for 2026. And we will then make an announcement during the course of probably early in March as to the structure of the advanced training program, which will then, the first version of that, the advanced training for the vocational program, will then be held during April after recess. I am going to be spending some time with Carlos de Silva on Sunday to discuss the advanced training program and also certain aspects of the intermediate level modules. And so we're in the process of finalizing how we're going to approach the advanced level training. So that's insofar as that the program is concerned. Let's just have a look at an overview of what we've got. Just bear with me. So here we have, this is the overview. That's the certificate, very similar. It's a similar structure to the one that you saw on the example of the directory page. We've got the quotation by Carlos de Silva. And here we have basically an overview of the program. It really is what the sort of yardstick that we apply, and we really do try to achieve this, is insofar as expert evidence is concerned, whether you're an expert, a legal representative, or a mediator, we try to provide you with what you need to do and how to do it, and now to comply with the legal principles governing expert evidence required by Acts of Parliament and the High Court judges. So what we do is we have a very disciplined methodology that we apply. We don't just talk loosely about what we think would be a good idea in the circumstances. We focus very, very rigidly on what the judges require and also what Acts of Parliament require. In this field, Acts of Parliament are much less important than the judge-made law, i.e. court cases. We focus very much on what the judges require, and we try to apply that in a practical sense, and take what it is the judges are expecting of expert witnesses on an updated level. So we try to keep our information current, and you'll have seen that through the free training tutorials that we've delivered over the last few weeks. We really try to, any important case that comes onto our radar, we then assimilate it into our system, and we keep, in that way, we keep our training and our information right on the cutting edge, topical and right up to date. So we keep a very close eye on what the judges are saying and what the actual requirements for being an expert witness or dealing with expert witnesses in South Africa are. That's our real focal point, is you can say the regulatory and compliance aspects of expert evidence in South Africa. And that's the what you need to do and then how to do it. So we take it a step further, and that's where the vocational training program is now going to develop that way. We try to teach not only knowledge, but also skills. So we're developing ways in which we can impart that learning to participants. And then we say, in today's ever more demanding environment, we provide the knowledge and skills to equip you. So you see the knowledge and skills. So we give you the foundation of what are the judges expecting and the skills. How do you do that? So we don't just leave you with the knowledge. We take a step and try to give you further guidance on how to actually do it. So those are the two core strands that run through the training that we present. To comply with the duties and requirements of preparing and presenting expert evidence in the High Courts of South Africa. So preparing and presenting. Now, most cases, the preparing will be sort of the end of it, because the matter normally settles. It's absolutely standard that it settles. However, there is a warning note to be sounded. And if you look at that ZN judgment, which we dealt with in the free training tutorial a few weeks ago, I was discussing with Sinet van Heerfer yesterday how when one becomes experienced, and the more experienced expert witnesses and advocates, I must tell you, and attorneys, we sometimes have to have our guard up for complacency. And that question of preparing, yes, that's very important, but you never know when you're going to end up having to present that expert evidence in court and what can happen. And ZN's case is an absolute classic case to demonstrate in respect of some very, very senior expert witnesses, highly regarded in the field, and a senior counsel, how things can go wrong where, for whatever reason. I don't want to denigrate what they did, but things certainly went wrong in that case. So one has to then always be ready, not only the preparing aspect, but ready to present the expert evidence. There's another reason why presenting expert evidence is an important component, because if you know what you're aiming for in presenting expert evidence, it informs the way that you prepare that. And so it keeps it tight, it keeps it focused, keeps it logical, and keeps it persuasive, all of those good things. And that is all informed by what could potentially happen in court. Okay, and then this is just on the Directory of Experts. There are various payment options. For the full program registration, it's 8,247 Rand. If you pay once off, you'll save 25%, which is 2,750 Rand. It's quite a significant discount that we offer there. We also offer a payment plan, which is effectively 2,750 Rand over 4 months. You can buy the individual modules, so you can go with the essentials module if you want to, and then the intermediate, and then the advanced, but you obviously won't then get the benefits of the savings. And then just to deal with this challenge, well, I think I have actually dealt with the challenge and, in fact, the solution, but you can go through that in your own time if you want. And then efficiency and effectiveness, that is another aspect, that basically your efficiency and effectiveness, if you know what you're doing, it just makes your practice so much more efficient, the way you run it. I've had quite a number of practitioners who've come to me, even as a result of the free training, and are enthusiastic about restructuring their practice, streamlining their practice. Now they've got a better understanding of what they are supposed to do. And through the vocational training program, that will give you a tremendous sense of what you're supposed to do and also what you're not supposed to do. That will help you to focus. It will help you to organize yourself, and it'll increase your efficiency. And insofar as effectiveness is concerned, just knowing what you're supposed to do gives you a tremendous sense of confidence. Again, I speak from my experience as an advocate, my training, and then translating that into court work. Of course, there's the experience. There's no substitute for experience. We all know that. But with proper vocational training in place, you can fast track the learning curve through experience. If you get pointed in the right direction, you get a solid introduction to your practice. Or if you've been practicing for many years, just to bring that together and all those bits and pieces of experience and things that you've learned, and to assimilate them all into a nicely structured program is tremendously beneficial, gives you a sense of confidence. And then, of course, just through the correct structure of your evidence and the way you present it, and all those little tips and skills and advice that not only I give, but that other trainees, other experienced practitioners that we bring into the program will impart, will really can only benefit your practice. Here's a visual representation of the different levels. So level 1 is free training. That's just awareness of key principles. As I say, randomly, just depends on what comes up. There's no structure and there's no accreditation for the free training. And the free training is also there. Another principle that we have is it's there for people to engage with the content. We're very confident in our content. We're very proud of it. We do work very hard to maintain high standards, and we want people to see that. And so we're very happy for people to come along to the free training and engage with the free training before they put their hand in their pocket and pay for something. Let them see what the standard is and whether they feel that they would get benefits out of it. We're absolutely transparent about that. Then level 2, which is the essentials course, which, as I said, is starting now next week and which will run for the duration of February and a little bit into March. That will give you now a structured understanding of the litigation process. And what we're looking for there is we want the overall learning objective is for you to get a proper overview of the litigation process. So the landscape, if you like, from beginning, receiving instructions, to end where you finished re-examination, if you ever go through the cross-examination process, and then re-examination. We will look at all those facets within those 2 weeks, and you'll come away with a good general understanding, regardless of if you might be an absolute beginner or you may have many years experience, but it will just integrate everything into a nice overview of what the whole process is. So that's level 2. And then level 3, we then, having got the overall lie of the land and having orientated you, we then dive into the key principles that come up time and time again. And we go really drill deep into those key principles and how they play out and what is important and relevant to you. And then level 4, which is advanced, is the internalizing of skills. So what we look at is, now that you've been through the key principles, which is really level 3, the intermediate, then level 4 advanced, we start looking more at a skills-based type of training, building on the intermediate knowledge that you've obtained. And if we look then at the program curriculum, so the free training, and we've just included that. It, as I say, it sort of stands aside from, it's like alongside the actual training program, but you'll see that there are those different levels, and you'll see that so the free training is tutorials on key principles and cases, which is an unstructured awareness and opportunity to engage with the learning materials. That's what I was saying a minute ago. Gives you ad hoc topics, but it gives people a chance just to see what is this about and to make an informed decision on whether to participate in training or not, which we think is only fair. Then level 2, introduction to expert evidence. This is what we're going to be dealing with now on the essentials. Quick, affordable understanding of essential concepts. So as I say, all those essential concepts, let's deal with them. And the benefit is increased confidence through structured understanding. So here's where we start bringing proper structure onto the subject and onto the training. Level 3, which is the intermediate level, detailed understanding of legal principles. As I said, we dive deeper into those principles. And the benefit is the ability to command subject matter through structured knowledge. So here we really look at that structure and dig into it. And then level 4, the advanced expert witness training, is the high-level development of key skills. And as I said a few minutes ago, this is now elite-level internalizing of key skills. So that will then come up, as I say, in the second term. We'll be dealing with that level. There is the monthly assessment and accreditation. It's not included in the program. It's 500 Rand a month. That's a current awareness of personal injury principles, and it's demonstration of ongoing proficiency in personal injury matters. We are still developing that particular module, the monthly certification module, and that we will probably get up and running properly during the course of March. We will put some content in now, but really want to focus on the vocational training program. But the monthly certification will then start coming more and more to the fore over the next few weeks. And the idea is then to keep yourself up to date on latest developments through a properly structured monthly accreditation. But that, as I say, we will deal with on another day. I just want to give you a quote from Lorna. I don't know whether Lorna's here. I didn't see her earlier. I know she wanted to be here. She had some technical challenges, but I hope she is here. But Lorna gave us a wonderful quote. Today was the high point of advanced training on expert witness evidence, which has been such a superbly structured course, especially because it was so imaginatively different in presentation from the intermediate course. So as we say, the intermediate course is more on the theoretical and understand the key principles. And then on the advanced course, we really move into internalizing of skills. There's some questions about the program. I've been through a lot of those points. I'm not going to go through them in any more detail at this stage. But I think that maybe what I should just point out is that just to recap, really, we've been through this, but I think it's maybe good just to look at how the program is structured. So the program is structured over 4 increasing levels of proficiency: free, essential, intermediate, and advanced. And then you can go through in your own time if you want to. You can go on to, I'll just remind you where this is to be found. Under the Expert Evidence Training tab, you'll see Overview. And then we've got, for each of those levels, there's then a dedicated section on the website. I'll just quickly take you to the free training section. And then here we go. It just gives you an overview of the free training. We have been through that in sufficient detail this evening. I'm not going to go through that again. And then just let's have a look at the essentials section of the website. So here's the essential guide to expert evidence. You can register. Here's an overview, which I've basically been through, but you'll see that then is level 2. In red, essentials, structured understanding of litigation process. It'll give you your certification. And you'll see that there are various, there's some more information available. Let's just actually update that information. So Thursday, the 19th of February, that's right. Live interview and overview and introduction. And then as from Monday, the 23rd of February, commencement of release of introductory course materials. So that will then be course materials for this. And then we'll get onto the intermediate training. Let's just have a look at that. So that'll be coming up during the course of March. And you'll see that there we are now. Then we would be at level 3. And you'll see that there are various sessions we will deal with in the intermediate training. Just to look ahead to the intermediate training, we'll start off with general legal principles governing expert evidence. So we start off with at a basic level, general principles that apply. Then we've got specific legal principles governing expert evidence, and then legal principles governing the expert report, and then preparation and presentation for trial. So those are the 4 areas that we look at. We do look at the principles, but we are now also going to expand on what we did previously in the intermediate training to start dovetailing that now with development of skills. So the previous 2025 version focused very much on the content, on the theoretical underpinnings and the legal principles. The approach that we take in 2026 is now to develop that and start teaching skills and assimilating skills in practice. So that really is an overview of that program. I'm not going to take you through the advanced right now. In fact, maybe let me do that. I'm just keeping an eye on the clock. I do want to finish by 7, but I see I've got 10 minutes left. Just about been through what I want to. So here's the advanced level, which, as I say, will be held in April. And we haven't put any further content on. We're still developing the advanced level training at the moment, but that should be ready within the next 2 or 3 weeks, and then we will let you know. If you want to register, you can go to the registration page, or you can contact me directly. I will then invoice you if you'd like to rather receive an invoice. But you can register for the full program, or you can apply for a payment plan, which we will look at, or you can WhatsApp us with any queries about individual modules, and we'll get back to you with that. All right, so that then wraps up this evening's session. I would just like to end off by saying that this is quite a significant development for this project, both insofar as the content is concerned and insofar as the method of delivery. As I say, we are now going to use a multimedia format. I believe that there will be, obviously, people need to get used to using that program. It's software that's been developed specifically for training. There'll be a little bit of getting used to it, but I can assure you that it is going to be a very, very powerful resource, and it is already, and it's going to just increase in its effectiveness and how powerful this resource is going to become. I put my name and my 30 years of experience as an advocate to this program. I am going to be drawing heavily on other experts, of course, but I am satisfied in saying that I believe that this program will be excellent for anybody who practices in any way in the field of expert evidence in South Africa. We will work with other organizations. We will work with other individuals to bring a product that is really excellent, that it enhances your practice and will develop your profession and your practice. So again, I thank you for your time. I will see everybody for the Tuesday session, but I will also be communicating now tomorrow and then on Monday with the rollout of the material. So just thank you to everybody. Lovely to see so many familiar faces. And we will start really marketing and promoting this program now. And I will see you in the next few weeks. Thank you, everybody, and good night.
Thank you.